Well, good morning, everyone. It's Lisa Ward here with Chapelwood Financial Services, your host of Two Qs with Lisa Ward. And today we have Arinn. So, Arinn, why don't you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so good morning. My name is Arinn Lovett. I'm sixth generation farmer rancher. I was actually born in New Mexico in a real small town of like 12,000 people. And I I grew up actually 20 miles away from the closest town, so I always had to drive 20 miles to school one way and come back. And um, really, I lived the life a lot of people would dream to live. Rode horses. I did rodeo my whole life. Didn't have any boundaries, right? And it was great. So um, as I got into my 20s, I was really wired more business. A lot of my family, they're all farmers and ranchers. So a lot of especially the women in my family, they get married young, they have kids young, they're the stay-at-home wives and the farmers' wives and stay-at-home moms. And I just felt wired. I was wired a little bit differently. And so I chased after degrees and I chased after success and I chased after careers. And long story short, we can get into it in a little bit, but I ended up finding my way here to DFW 5 years ago. And I moved up here all on my own. And I didn't know anybody to start something new. I felt like I was kind of reaching my cap, so to say, professionally back in my
Okay.
small town. And I came here. God led me here for sure. It's a different story too, but I came here, searching for something more, something for something bigger than myself. And 3 years ago, I got led into starting Lovett Insurance, which is a health insurance agency, and I've been running that ever since.
Awesome. Yeah, that might have been a rather culture change going from a small town to DFW. Woo!
Oh
Lots of
my gosh.
people.
It was more than a culture change. It was, I didn't realize how naive I was. I was so trusting of everybody. Um, my first 3 years here were hard.
I can
Coming to the big
imagine.
city and just feeling like I'm just a small little fish in this big sea of, corporate.
Yes, yes, yes. Well,
Yeah.
and some of our towns here in DFW have that small town feel, but there are so many
Mhm.
resources. Yes. So the first question that I always ask everyone is, what do you want that you don't already have? And this can be personal and it can be business related. And sometimes they do overlap. So we'll
Absolutely.
start with personal or business first.
I've been pondering on this question for a couple days now. There's a lot of things, I want that I don't already have. And and maybe this could be for another interview. I don't want to take up too much time on this, but I'm very spirit led, very God led. And I felt at a very young age like God called me to be something different and to be of somebody different. And so he's literally walked me, and I've been through a lot of tragedy. That the only way I'm where I am now is through him. So I want to give praise there. And so ever since I was a little girl, on top of like careers or things that I wanted to do, or at one point I wanted to be a vet and actually went through the pre-vet program. And then
Oh,
I was going to
wow.
start chiropractor school. Like when I was younger, my version of success in my head of being somebody was degrees. And so I have 3 different degrees and I don't do anything with any of them. Honestly, none of the careers I've ever had have had anything to do with my degree that fits the mold of what I'm trying to do. It's all had to do with my work experience and my drive and the people I know. And the older I get, and I'm speaking now to the younger crowd, I'm 33 now. The older I get, I've realized it's more about who you know versus what you know.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's
Most definitely.
100% about your work ethic and your drive and your willingness to learn. And if you have all those check marked, then you will go far and you can set your mind on whatever it is that you want to achieve and you're going to get it done. But going back to, I thought degrees is what made me somebody, and I thought degrees is what would validate who I am. And I also, to an extent, when I actually lived here in DFW, I was supposed to start Parker University for chiropractic school because in my head I thought, what's better than a doctor?
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized I decided not to do it. I was about a month out before I was supposed to start, and I thought, well, one, it's a lot of money per semester. And if I'm not 100% in, that's a lot of money to be putting in, just every semester when I don't even know I want to finish.
Mhm.
And two, that's when it hit me that my worth is not through what a piece of paper says I can do.
My very expensive pieces of paper. Yes.
Yes, yes. I don't even have mine on the wall because I'm like, I should have done that. So, but despite all the things I've said I've wanted to do since I was a little girl and I've done and I've, accomplished, the one big thing I've always wanted to do somehow is change the world.
Hmm.
And I haven't known how that was going to be, but it's been planted in me since I was a little girl that I'm going to somehow be a world changer. And when I mean world changer, I'm meaning, you look at the world today and just family, that's just one topic I can talk about. So many families are broken and divided and especially like in my generation and even worse in younger generations than, me and you, children are not raised up in families that stay together. I wasn't, my parents got divorced when I was like 8 and then, have been married and divorced, multiple times since then. And so
Hmm.
for me, becoming an adult and trying to gain a relationship or find a husband, or I don't have kids yet, but even the thought of working to have a family and be a good mom is skewed because I've never seen what that's like growing up. And so
Hmm.
much of who we are as an adult is really still our younger selves that we're out searching to fulfill, or the things that we lacked as a little kid we're still trying to find as an adult. And so somehow or another, if and family is just one topic, if I can somehow shed light or bring and work with generations younger, even of my generation or generations older, to help heal those wounds or those past um, hurts, or start bringing families closer together, then we can start making a ripple effect into hopefully changing the world for future generations.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. One person at a time, one family at a time.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a lot to be like a disruptor, break the patterns. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot. So my next question is, what's holding you back from achieving that? So how exactly are you going to go down that path of changing the world and being a disruptor and actually keeping families together? Because that doesn't necessarily, as an insurance agency owner, yes, you can insure families to hopefully make sure that they stay together in like instances where things go wrong, but how are you going to implement that?
Yes. So I'm going to unpack the latter part of that question first, as being an insurance agent. How do I plan to do this? So insurance for me is, and I've said this from the very beginning, how I even got into insurance, let's back up from there, is I always helped open and start other offices. I was really good at going in and, if there was a new doctor's office or something there, or restaurants. I ran 5 restaurants at a time at one point, and they were building up, or they had a bad retention rate, or whatever they needed to accomplish or get better at. I was really good at going in and looking at the picture as a whole and fixing all the categories to grow. And so that's what I did. And I would go, to these restaurants, for example, and I'd be with them for, I don't know, a year, 2 years, however long it was, to get them up and going and to make sure everything's running smoothly and to hire the right managers and to hire the right people and to lower the turnover rate. And then I would move on to the next project. And I would find myself giving 150% over and over and over again to other business owners. And I always felt, just kind of empty. Like I'm giving
Mhm.
everything and I'm not getting back what was promised. So I always left and felt unfulfilled and unhappy, and I wouldn't say angry is really the word, but a little resentment, Um, well, something about when I turned 30, I don't know what it was, but I felt like God just spoke to me, just like, you know what, you can do this on your own. Go start your own business. I was like, what the heck am I going to start? What am I going to do? And I think as humans, we overcomplicate everything. And so
Oh,
for me, I'm
yes.
I'm sitting here thinking like I I'm good at the restaurant world, but I don't want to start a restaurant. Like it has a lot of this liability and this, and then I have to buy this, and if I have to buy an office, or I'd have to hire people, and I don't, my bank account doesn't show big enough to just throw all the risk in to start something new. So honestly, I went on and Googled, like, what can I do that considers myself, I'm self-employed and I don't have a lot of overhead. Insurance popped up. And I thought, I don't know crap about insurance. All my health insurance has either been from past employees, or at this time I was 30. So I had insurance with my dad till I was 26. So anything between was through employees. And as a whole, a lot of us, we search for jobs that offer health benefits, right? We pick, sadly, a lot of us pick jobs based on the benefits and the insurance
Well, it's a
versus
part
like,
of
is this actually what's,
compensation. That's not a
yeah,
bad thing. Yeah.
no, not at all. Now the trajectory of how insurance is going, it's completely changing from what it used to be. But I thought, well, you know what? I'm smart. I don't have, like my bills I've always kept very minimal. And if this doesn't work, I can just pivot. I was always really good at pivoting and going on and try something else. And so I went, studied for the test, got my license. I got started with a captive agency to start, and it just took off like really fast. And the one thing with me is a lot of agents, not just health insurance, PNC, whatever, they do a lot of cold calls. And I didn't want to do cold calls because I'm a people person and I'm a relational person. And so I wanted to build my business for the long haul and not just call somebody who I don't know, try to sell them a plan, get the commission, and then say, peace out, see you later. And sadly, that's as a whole,
That's
usually
the
what happens.
model. Yeah.
It is the model. And so I I figured, if I don't want to cold call and I want to build everything organically and referral based only, there's only one other way to do that. That's networking a lot. And so I was going to 10 to 15 networkings a week, every single week for a year. And it was exhausting. And some of these groups, I was just like, this is such a waste of my time. Looking back, if I'm going to be very transparent and honest, like I drove a lot all throughout DFW. I went everywhere. It was just I always had a face on, and I loved people. I love to talk. I'm very much an extrovert. But I think doing that so much kind of brought in a little introvert in me in a way of like, okay.
You can be peopled out. It's like, I'm done peopling
Yes.
for the day.
I love that. I'm done peopling for the day. Yes, then that's what happened. But I also knew I needed to get my name known. And the only way to get my name known was to keep doing what I was doing. And I love to golf. I've golfed pretty much all my life. I golfed in high school. So I actually had several booths during golf tournaments that I would buy too. And that was kind of my niche in a way. Like golf was my thing. I was known to go out and do that. And it worked. Honestly, my first 10 weeks, 9 weeks, 9 or 10 weeks, I don't know, it's kind of blurry now, but I issued over $100,000 in premiums with one carrier. And then it just started going from there. But the key to that is if you have a business or you're working on wanting to start one or whatever you are with everything's about relationships. And if someone doesn't trust you and doesn't feel like you're in it for them, they're never going to do business with you. It's a very transactional relationship. And so if you already can't gain their trust and you can't just organically talk to them or you act like you care about their family life or what's going on with their life, then don't ever expect to get the business. So that's what I did. I just took care of my people. And if I'm going to be full disclosure, I hate insurance. I hate the insurance game. I do. But I love people. And so that was my way of being, and I love challenges. If someone puts a challenge in front of me, you can better believe I'm going to hit that challenge. Even if I don't care about the reward, most of the time I don't. I'm going to do it just to say I did it and I can do it.
Yeah, don't tell me I can't do something.
Yes, that'll definitely, if you want me to get something done, you tell me I can't do it, it'll get done. So that's what I did. And it built very quickly. And I started getting referrals 100% of my business is all referral based. And it's really been a blessing. But I always knew I was good at it. I was able to take something complicated, make it easier to make sense for other people. And then I made families or individuals feel peace and security. And so that was my main goal because I loved people and I wanted to help people.
Mm-hmm.
But I also knew from the very beginning, like God had told me, this is just a vehicle to get me to the next best thing. Like I knew insurance was not my long-term game. Whether that meant I kept the agency and hired people to run it or not, and I still don't have the answer for that yet, but it's not what fills my cup, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So
So have you
doing
figured out
insurance,
what does fill your cup, or are we
yes. Yeah.
navigating where
So
that's going to take us?
yeah. So I actually on Leap Day published my first book,
Awesome.
and it's called Spirit of Survivors, and it's heartbeats of hopes and lessons learned in life's darkest moments. So I'm not the only author in this book. There's several of us in it, and we have our own chapters, but it's all raw and it's very vulnerable, and it literally talks about our stories and how we overcame the darkness we went through, turning triumphs or turning tragedies into triumphs. It is really what it is. And so so I got this out, and God had spoke to me for years, like I'm supposed to write a book, and I knew what to write about because I went through a 3-year span of a lot of hard stuff, and it's wrote about in this book. I exposed myself completely to the world, and but after I finally got it out, it's like I knew this was the con. So I'm in the middle of my second book right now. That
Oh,
should be released in the next month or two. And then I also actually I haven't started it yet, but I have a podcast and a TV show as well. My studio's in downtown South Lake,
awesome.
and I've been working with my producers. We're working on our intro, and the name of my podcast is World Changers.
Ah, so that's where it's
Yep.
going to come out. Cool.
That's where it's all tying in. So it's inspiring change one show at a time. And so what I'm going to incorporate is, in my own opinion, there's 4 tiers that help the world go round, that make world changers. And it's politics, which honestly I probably will never touch up on because that's a tough subject. But politics,
You want to get a reaction out of people.
yeah, faith or spirituality, whatever it is, entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
and agriculture. And so being 6th generation farm and ranch,
Yeah.
agriculture is a big part of who I am. So ultimately the main goal is I want to bring on people onto my show and it just be like how we are now. We're just talking.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have rules. So I kind of want to open up the curtains to like what's real life.
Mm-hmm.
Let's educate the people and let's discuss what we do and what real life and the real world is really like. And just empower synergy and connection and collaborate all these different tiers and all these different people to come together and make it known that hey, we're all really together. We're not always against each other like
Mm-hmm.
the news and media now try to make it seem.
Well,
And
that's
the only way
clickbait.
we're going to
So.
become better, exactly. The only way we're going to become better is if we quit trying to fight against each other. And
Mm-hmm.
education is key. A lot of people just straight don't know about anything.
It's scary
So
what we don't know. And we put our
it
head in the
is.
sand and it's like, ignorance is bliss. I'm like, ignorance gets you into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
It can get you into some serious trouble, especially if you don't know benefits through work. I mean, all the things that we do at our firm, it's why we have professionals that actually educate themselves and you pay them to do the things for you.
Yep, exactly.
How cool. Well, I'm excited for your podcast and your books.
Thanks. Yeah,
I need
thanks.
a copy of the first one for sure. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we actually hit Amazon bestseller #1 in 3 categories in the first 10 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's called Spirit of Survivors. You can actually go find it on Amazon and you can order. We have a Kindle copy or you could do paperback or hardcover. So,
Okay,
yeah.
so y'all didn't do an audio version of it?
No, we didn't because it's kind of well,
You could each
because
do
we
your
have
own
so many different
chapters.
authors.
Yeah.
Yes. But we're all in 4 different countries too.
Oh, well,
So
okay.
trying to collaborate 4 countries and all that. Yeah. So we decided no audio on this one. My next book, it's also going to be co-branded. There's only going to be maybe like 5 of us authors.
Okay.
And the name of that one's Messengers of the Divine. So this one was about hard things and how I accomplished them and what's, giving hope to people who's also been through hard things. The next one's going to be more about, at least my chapter It's going to be more about how to shape our past experiences and use them instead of as a negative, how to understand them and then use them as a powerful force to move forward in the future and not keep letting our past experiences hold us captive.
Mm-hmm. Which goes along with the whole changing of the world, change
Yep.
your habits, change the future.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, for the future female leaders in the workforce who are trying to figure out where they want to go next, what little piece of advice would you give them?
Oh, being a female in I can speak in corporate America because I've done a lot of corporate America. I've always kind of immersed myself in male dominated roles. And I think that comes from growing up in a male dominated field. And I was always the female having to prove myself and prove that I can hang with the guys. I can do what the guys can do. I'm not too small. And I'm not too dainty, you know. So my best advice, if I were to only give one, be just to don't give up. To know your worth and to, even if it seems like all odds are against you and you're never going to get the promotion or you're never going to be where you're supposed to be because you're a female. No, that's all lies from
It's
the
on
enemy,
here.
and it's all in your head, and just keep pushing forward because none of that's true. Is it true that it's a little bit harder for us? Absolutely, especially in certain fields or whatever it is you're trying to do or accomplish, but keep driving forward. And it's going to get tough. I had many moments where it got really tough for me, and I felt like I was really uh, pulled out. You know, dealt with sexual harassment, things of that sort. People say that's not still a thing. It's very much still a thing, and just keep pushing forward. All you can do is control you and how you react to things. So just whatever you have to do to come to your safe space or to forgive or to just think, you know what, like they're not actually doing this as an attack on me, and you're able to view what they're saying or whatever bad's happening and realize it's a reflection of really what they're hurting inside and has nothing to do with you. That helps you to move forward and be like, okay, you know what, I still got this, and I'm not going to let exhibit A get in my way or exhibit A break me down or emotionally like cut me up.
Awesome.
So just stand strong. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other last tidbits, funny things that's going on? I mean, you've already got the book coming out, podcast is coming out. Any other fun things coming down your pipeline that you want to share?
Not yet. I don't think so. Yeah, I kind of shared my three big things. That's kind of been, I feel like God's transitioning me into more from boardrooms to coffee shops and relationships.
I love it. And we've got plenty of
It's a
those. Lots
difficult
of good,
transition. Yeah,
lots of good local coffee shops.
absolutely.
Fantastic. Yay. Well, thank you for joining us, and look forward to hopefully bringing you back on once you've launched the next book or launching the podcast.
I would love to, absolutely. And maybe you get on my show as well.
Well, there we go.
I love
That
this.
sounds like fun. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for listening, and tune in next time for another episode.
Y'all have a great day.